welcome to Jesus for Asia Now. I'm Natalie Wood, and I have my husband John here with me in the studio today. Hello, love.
Hi, darling. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. And
Good.
where are we going today?
We're going back in time to the Stone Age.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going up to a mountain tribe of an island in the Philippines.
Okay.
The island is Mindoro. It's the western side of Mindoro. And we're going back to see people that are still gripped by fear of the spirits of the forest.
So how did we get acquainted with this area of need?
Well, back in 2011, we did a faith camp, which is a camp meeting focused on mission and outreach and taking the gospel to places that are completely dark. And there was an uncle of one of our friends that attended that camp meeting. He was a government school teacher, and he lived in an area that was in the flatlands right next to the mountains. And he had such a burden because nobody was going up into the mountains to reach those tribes. And so he came and shared his burden, asked for some funds, and we were able to scrape together like $230 in cash, like nothing. And I didn't hear from him for like 2 or 3 years. And then we got back in touch with him, found out they were establishing schools, and they were funding their work by making and selling soy milk. And so a few years later, we just felt the impression of God to partner with them and support the work that they're doing.
Right. So when they started sending the school teachers to the schools, they called them missionaries.
Yes.
And they trained them that they were to be missionaries. And so one of the first stories that came from there is on our first video, actually.
Yes.
And this is called Angel in a G-string.
Yeah, now what is a G-string?
It's a loincloth.
Okay.
It's what they wear up there.
Kami ay magsabi tungkol sa Panginoon.
When we told them about Jesus,
Ay ang mga pinuno dito
the leaders didn't want to listen.
na parang ayaw.
Nung pasukin natin ang Kimali, meron tayong
When we first started in Kimali, there had been an agreement to give education, but no religion.
pero pagkatapos
But after 3 years,
3 years
there were already candidates for baptism
ng candidates for baptism dahil
because our students saw the difference of having Jesus in our lives. So they decided to be baptized in the lowlands.
so they decided to be baptized dito sa baba.
17 children left the village at 3 a.m. to go down to the lowlands to get baptized.
Kalibo. Pagkatapos ay umuwi sila doon sa Kimali na baptized.
After baptism, they went back home to the village. But when the chieftain and other leaders learned about the baptism, they became furious. According to their culture, whoever violates any of their beliefs will be punished. Their feet would be tied up with 2 logs, and they will have to stay there for hours until they recant their faith. But if they don't recant, the logs will be raised higher until they are hanging upside down. So every couple of hours, they are asked if they will recant their faith.
Suko ay
If they refuse, they will be hung upside down for up to 24 hours.
24 hours.
Yan ang mataas na parusa.
Pangao is a very serious punishment.
Ay dandi, sabi ko,
So I told Dandy and the rest of the children,
pangawakan natin.
let's hold fast to God,
Kahit paanong mangyari.
no matter what happens to us.
Kasi ang tatay niya, kapitan.
One of the children that got baptized is the chieftain's son. So we knew that the punishment would be severe.
Sabi ko talaga,
Natakot po kayo nung sinabi nila na
Were you afraid when they told you that they would punish you?
kasi narinig namin talaga.
No, I wasn't afraid at all, because we heard that even Jesus also went through something like this. And so did Paul.
Sila Pablo, handa kami mapapangaw.
We were prepared to be punished for getting baptized, if that was God's will for us.
Mga matatandang mangyan nasa bahay.
While the students were at Abar's house, the furious village elders were at the chieftain's house getting things ready for the punishment.
Isang tawag na lang.
But then, God interceded.
Ang Diyos ay nagpakita ng kanyang kapangyarihan. Dumating na isang
A very old man came into the village.
matandang mangyan na ang sabi ng ating iba.
They had never seen this old man before in Kimali.
Pagkatapos dumaan siya.
His G-string was old and filthy, and he passed through the village center going to the river.
Ang intensyon ng matanda sa tingin nila ay papunta sa ilog.
Then he turned back and talked to the chieftain.
Na siya bumalik, lumingon, doon sa chieftain ay,
He told the chieftain, "Don't punish them. They did nothing wrong."
and then wala nang ibang sinabi.
After saying that, the old man went on his way. They waited for him to come back, but he never did.
Natakot sila kasi
They were terrified because they have a high respect for elders.
namatay na
So they stopped the punishment for the baptized students.
pusahan.
Nung sinabi nila
When they
na-
told you that you will be punished, how did you feel about that?
Hindi po ako na
I wasn't afraid
Bakit hindi
Why weren't you afraid?
kasama ang Panginoon.
because God is with me.
Ako'y naniniwala.
We believe that the old man who appeared from nowhere was an angel in disguise.
Anghel na nagmukhang mangyan.
Because if that was just a human from a far-off mountain, how did he know about all the issues in Kimberley?
So,
That experience gave us so much joy to stay fervent in doing service in God's work.
lalo pa tayong magsumigla sa gawain ng Panginoon.
Wow, praise the Lord.
Isn't that an amazing story?
It is so beautiful
Yeah.
how God protected them.
And we got to go there and stand in that very courtyard
Right.
where that angel came through.
Yes.
And so now Abar is married.
Right. He married Mercy.
Yes, another one of our Bible workers, one of the early believers,
Right.
strong believer.
Yes.
But she has some physical challenges as well.
So recently, Abar has been losing his eyesight. He has glaucoma. And so this next video is talking about that struggle
Yes.
that they deal with.
Siguro ngayon ay mga
It has been about 6 years since his eyesight started to fail.
maglabo kanyang mata.
Itong kaliwa.
This left eye can no longer see, and this right eye, at your distance, I cannot see you anymore. But I can feel someone is in front of me.
Katulad ngayon.
Sabi nga ng doktor, hindi na.
The doctor said it could not be medicated, he needed surgery, and glasses wouldn't work.
Dahil nga,
Since the natives had no ability to get surgery, they just advised me to be careful with food and not to have excessive work.
Simula maglabo na, ay ako na.
When he started losing his vision, I worked more and hiked down to the town to get supplies. I am the one who goes further up the mountain to the people who we are reaching.
Walang asin,
If they don't have salt or soap, or if they want noodles, even though I have an illness, I will endure.
magtitis na.
I endured because my husband said, I'm having difficulties going down to town. I can't do it anymore, especially crossing the highway.
malaki na po ang aming utang.
I owe so much to the Lord and to those who are helping us. Please don't think about my situation anymore.
Mga tumutulong sa amin. Basta patuloy lang kasi
We should move forward because there are still a lot of people who need help more than us.
higit pa sa amin.
Talaga nun.
Actually, before, I depended on him because I was weak. Even climbing the stairs to our hut, I got tired easily, gasping for breath. So I told the Lord, you know our situation, so I leave the fate of me and my husband to you.
Kaming mag-asawa.
Whatever may happen in our lives, we are okay, as long as the Lord is with us until the day we die.
Kaya.
That heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
But his spirit is so pure.
Yeah. He says, don't think about me.
Yeah.
He's very concerned about the people that don't know.
Yeah. I've been talking with my team over there and saying, hey, we need to get some help for him. And he says, there's other people that have worse needs than I do.
Yeah.
He says, I know the Lord and I'm happy and I'm willing to do whatever God calls me to do. Please take help to those people.
Yeah. The Spirit of Christ, for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
So beautiful.
Yeah. And Mercy, you know, she's been having trouble with her health for many, many years.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see her heart beating in her neck.
Yes.
And we've always been concerned about her health.
Yes.
But now the load is on her. And so we're trying to find ways that we can help them. I believe that God can heal Abar's eyesight completely and Mercy's health, restore her back to better than what she was before.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if we all join together and pray for Abar and Mercy, then God can come in and heal them.
Yes. Yes. That's definitely a prayer need.
Yes.
So our next video is talking about Abar and Mercy and their ministry and how influential it is.
Okay.
The influence of Abar and Mercy is extensive, and they have been very inspirational to many people in the mountains. Up in the mountains, fear of evil spirits has a strong grip on the people and keeps everyone in bondage. They believe that if anyone defies the spirit gods, then something bad will happen, and they would be cursed, and someone could die. This fear of evil spirits keeps many from having the courage to defy the gods of the forest. But Abar has ignored all the fears that his culture has lived with for centuries. Instead, he follows God fully. In order to do that, he had to go against the demands and expectations of the culture and the tradition of the elders.
Are there people in the village, other than you, that engage in spreading the gospel?
No, no one except me and my husband. Only the two of us dare to climb the mountain and share the truth, and no Mangyan has ever followed us. Only us.
This is the only couple that dares to stand up against the culture of fear that permeates the village. They're the only ones willing to face the elders on whatever issue confronts them. Faith and belief in the God of heaven are not part of the village culture, and Abar is the only person brave enough to stand his ground in the face of the elders. He is the only Mangyan who has the courage to share the gospel with them.
And so we really need to pray for them.
Yeah.
And I think if we can all pray together, definitely God will hear our prayers.
Yes, for sure.
And we have the Bible text in Matthew 18:19 that says, if two on earth, and we're on earth, right? Agree concerning anything, they shall have what they ask.
Yes.
What a tremendous promise that is.
Yes.
So if we all ask the Father for the restoration of their health, God will certainly do it.
Yes, he sure will.
Unless he can be more glorified through their sickness. But I would tend to think that this is an attack of the enemy to reduce their usefulness.
Effectiveness,
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
So our next video, we turn to a slightly different subject.
Okay.
But it's still about Abar and Mercy because this has affected them as well.
Yes.
So this video is about the children. We start learning about the plight of the children up there.
Yes.
The young ones, even if they are still very young, they want to get married. Sometimes they are only 15 or 14, but they go ahead and get married. Their parents force them to get married so they will have a family.
They have around 8 or 10 children. Others neglect their children. When you go to their homes, you will find their children just lying in the corner unattended to. It's hard to care for and raise kids because they have to go to work, they think of where to find food.
The parents have a hard time finding enough food growing in the jungle for all the children.
Some parents try to get their children adopted when they cannot feed and care for them. But the mothers continue to have children until they have more than they can take care of. The lack of care makes it easy for the children to get sick and often they die. Some are adopted, others are taken care of, and still others die of hunger or sickness.
Heartbreaking. And so this leads into the next part. One of the biggest challenges that they have is just basic hunger. People say that just leave them alone, they have their own religion. But this is one of the very clear ways in which what you believe affects so many people, because they believe that the evil spirits, if somebody dies in a house, for instance, they have to tear down that house and leave that day and can't spend the night there. Otherwise, the evil spirit will come back and eat them.
In
Right.
fact, the village where we first met Abar and Mercy has moved,
Yeah.
probably because of that situation.
And so because of that belief, they do very little farming.
Right.
In addition to that, the soil's not very good.
Right.
But they don't stay in one place long enough to plant a crop and grow a crop. And so they end
And
up
increase
just,
the soil value.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so they end up just foraging in the jungle for whatever they can find.
Mm-hmm.
And so how can you find enough food just foraging in the jungle?
No.
And so this next video talks about that.
Okay.
Yung health nila yung pinaka-first concern.
Their health is the first concern I saw. The children are malnourished. And not only the children, but even from the oldest folk to the babies, many are just malnourished.
Yung mula sa pinaka-matatanda hanggang nagtatanim po sila ng mga...
They plant root crops and bananas, but with the heat like this in this village, plants will not survive. It is too hot here. Root crops like sweet potato and taro are now gone. Right now, the people are harvesting the fruits of the banana plant even though they are not yet ripe because they have no more to eat.
Kulang pa sa gulang na mga saging.
Kayo po nagkain?
Are you done eating?
Nagkain na po.
Not yet.
Ano po yung ulam niyo?
What's your food?
Wala.
Nothing.
Don't you have any food?
Po kayong ulam?
What are they eating?
Bitter root.
Kumakain sila ngayon.
Right now, the people are eating nami, a local food. Last month, some people experienced food poisoning because they ate nami that was not yet at the edible stage. People vomited because of the poisoning, and we praise God no one died.
Yung mga bata, tubig-tubig lang.
When they can't find food, they just drink water to fill their stomach. They pick mango fruit and eat it, even if it is still only this size because of the scarcity of food. The small fruit just after budding is already picked and eaten by whoever finds it first. That is why the only way they ever get a good meal is when we buy and bring food for them from the flatlands.
Talaga sila nakakain ng masarap at maayos.
That's rough.
Yeah, and you know, she was talking about the food there and the situation with people getting food poisoning. And that's because the nami that she was talking about has to be processed because it is poisonous. It has to be soaked for 3 days and then dried, and then they can use it for cooking. But if they're starving, they might eat it too soon, or they might not have washed it correctly or whatever, and it still had some of the poison in it, and thankfully no one died.
Yeah.
So it's really, and because it's foraging, the parents will leave at 5 in the morning soon as the light begins to come up, and they'll leave the little ones with their older siblings, which are babies.
Yeah.
I mean, they're leaving the children to take care of the children.
So a 4-year-old taking care of a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
Or a 6-month-old.
Yeah.
And there are things that we can do to help.
Yes. This next video is extremely heartbreaking. It's talking about what happens to unwanted babies.
Sa kanilang culture,
In their culture, they have babies they are not able to care for. Take, for instance, a season comes where they have a good and fruitful harvest. If a baby is born, they will take care of it to survive. But if a baby is born in a hot season like this and no one is willing to adopt the baby, either they kill the baby by strangling or leave the baby alone to die. Because they don't have anything to feed the baby anyway, so they will just leave the baby alone.
Ganon din naman eh. Pag pinanganak.
They will wait 5 to 7 days. But if no one adopts the baby, then they will kill that baby.
7 days. Pag walang umampon.
Many mothers do not have milk on their breasts because of malnourishment. They will cook porridge of any root crop or even nami. They will pound the crop to soften it and then make porridge.
Yun na yung ipapakain nila sa babies nila. Ang pinakahuling
The last story I heard that a baby was killed because of hunger was a year ago. As a human being, it makes me angry, but when you look at their situation, dying babies is nothing new to them. Still, I feel so much pain inside.
of poverty.
To think that many innocent babies die just because of poverty.
Each time na may makikita ako,
Each time I see a baby that is malnourished, I immediately come down to help the baby. Because the thought may cross their minds to do the horrible act or to lose another innocent life again.
I'm so thankful for our Filipino missionaries.
Yes.
You know, these Filipino missionaries come from well, compared to the Hmongians, a very affluent life.
Right.
And they sacrifice a lot to go up to live in the mountains. And many times they suffer hunger, like when they can't get down to the flatlands to get some food to the village to buy food. We've had some of our Filipino missionaries say, I just drink water and go sleep it off when I feel that hunger pain.
Yeah. So Abar and Mercy were asked to take one of these babies. And they took her. This is a girl. This is a picture of their first one, the girl. And then they recently were asked to take another one.
Yes.
Kung ayaw, yan pinapabayaan mo hanggang matay sakit pinagalagaan.
If they no longer want the baby, they will just leave it there to get sick without any care. If they no longer want the baby, they will leave it there to die. Our mother told us our neighbor had given birth and gave the baby to me, helped me to provide milk for him. I told her, I still don't know if we will be able to. I told my husband about it. I said, we will help, but it is hard, so we will not be taking care of the baby. About a week passed and our mother told us, I can no longer support this baby. I will give Moises for you to take care of. My husband asked me if you can still take care and endure late nights like how you did with Shandy. I answered, if it is God's will for my life then, though it is hard due to the culture that the family will not take care of the baby, then we will take him and take care of him. The mother said about Moises, it's good that he is with them. They go to church and they know God. When it comes to Moises, it was a little hard for us because we didn't receive help. It was all on us to support and buy milk. But with the help of God, we were able to provide. So whenever we receive a blessing, we will make the children understand that milk for Moises is the priority that he may strive and live for God. It's pitiful if we didn't take the baby. Though it is hard for us, we give it all unto God's hands. We will only trust in him, just to save the life of this baby. We have one desire for these two children. That is to be in mission, to become a missionary. We want them to grow up and go back to their families as missionaries, to show them the character of Jesus that their parents will also know God.
Magpakita ang ugali ni Jesus. Magbalik. Yan ang isa naming plano kung.
With the help of God, they will grow and learn to speak and be independent. This is what we are always telling them, that they will someday go back to where they came from for them to be an example for Jesus.
Kayo doon magiging halimbawa ni Jesus.
Isn't that precious?
That is so sweet. What a beautiful family and what a beautiful goal. You know, as parents, they want their kids to go back to their families as missionaries.
Yes. I'm sure there's people watching right now that said, I would love to adopt some of those kids.
Yeah.
But the best thing we can do is just provide for them to be able to take care of these kids there in the mountains and train them to go back to their families like Abar and Mercy are doing.
Missionaries creating missionaries.
Absolutely.
Recently, some good friends of ours went to visit, and this is what the wife had to say.
Yes.
We've traveled numerous places around the world, and this is by far one of the poorest and one of the greatest needs. You see children that they maybe get one meal a day, families that aren't eating. Forget about the animals getting food. It's just extremely poor. But you see the physical poorness, and even more so is the spiritual. They don't know Jesus, they don't even know who he is. And they don't even know that they need him. So that's something that's really struck me with being here, is just the ignorance of the people of not knowing who Jesus is, but also all of the superstitions and things that they believe, and how fearful they are. They need everything. They don't have mosquito nets. They don't have clothes, or necessarily what they do have for clothing is very, very worn, very, very dirty. And it just has holes all over in it. They need food, they need medical attention. They need everything. They really don't have things, and they don't have a knowledge of how to farm or how to take care of themselves. It's a lot of just the superstitions and things of that nature that aren't even true that dictate their lives. So what can I as an American do? I can come and do short-term things. I can help support the workers that are here. And I can also help by doing different church projects where we can give them things that they need, clothes, food. So I can help facilitate the worker that's here. But for me to practically come and be the worker, that doesn't make a lot of sense. That's not where I can be used. I think Jesus really wants to come soon. And he's going to come soon. But we have a work to do that we are at this point, most of us not doing. We're too comfortable. And there's one way to get people uncomfortable. You may think that the whole world is reached and you're completely wrong. Go to these villages. They do not know who Jesus is. They've never even heard of him, much less know his character and know anything about him. It's just, it hasn't gone to the whole world. And when you see these different villages, the need is overwhelming, but the realization that our work is so not complete. It's so lacking in labor, it's lacking in funds, it's lacking in everything. We've really neglected it, and we need to get back to being a movement and doing what Jesus has asked us to do. We have a choice to make of how we're going to finish this work, but it's going to be finished, and I want to be a part of that. I want to see Jesus come.
And so to arrange our entire life around that, that one burning need to tell people about Jesus.
Yeah, it is definitely a huge call.
Yes.
If you would like to assist in ministry to these precious people, please contact us at Jesus for Asia, P.O. Box 1221, Collegedale, Tennessee 37315. Call us at 423-413-7321 or visit our website at jesusforasia.org. May God richly bless you until we see you next time on Jesus for Asia Now.